Basically, if you have a clean house or clean apartment, you're probably not going to get cockroaches. In Japan, it's not the case. What is up, everyone? It is just one more Guyjin in Japan, and you can just call me Daniel. I am all about sharing and discovering Japan together with you, and today I am with Andrew from
Ryowa Real Estate. I'm here. I also participate in making videos for a channel called My Hiroshima Live, and helping out at Ryowa for a couple years now. I'm able to help foreign residents find homes that maybe they couldn't normally get into. So it's just a really great job to help them find the apartment, get all the paperwork done, and get through those hurdles like being able to speak Japanese or not having a guarantor, things like this.
Yeah, and those links are in the description. And we have a lot to talk about. We actually have like over 60 tips. It's pretty ridiculous. We are going to be covering the actual hunting for your apartment, trying to save some money, some tips on how to save money, things to consider when you are choosing your apartment, and some tips for after you move in, which are extremely important because there are some things that you should definitely do after you get your apartment, after you've moved everything in, that could save you some money and some time and some heartache.
That's right.
In the future. So number one, this is something you hear quite often, unfortunately, but some landlords don't accept foreigners.
Ooh.
It sucks, but it's not the agent's fault. You don't hound the agent, okay? They want you to have an apartment.
It's true.
Speaking of agents, you need an agent to get to rent any apartments in Japan. Your agent is on your side. They want your business. They want you to get an apartment. That is what they do.
Right.
Dress nice, you know, like this. Maybe not like this, but don't be bumming around. Don't be coming into the agency in like flip-flops and pajamas and stuff. They want to know that you are trustworthy.
Responsibility is a very important thing when recommending a resident to an owner or even a separate management company.
Yeah. So what should we bring when we our first visit to the agency?
Well, a lot of the times, we of course would like to see some form of ID, and so a passport or even a residence card for living here in the country is very helpful. And then for when you do go ahead and apply for an apartment, we would like to have some kind of stamp, which is usually required at banks in Japan.
The hanko, yeah.
That's right. And then it's good to have prepared some kind of reference as well for your emergency contacts.
Oh, okay. And what I've heard is that you need a guarantor to get an apartment. Can you kind of explain that?
Sure. That used to be the case, but recently we've been seeing a lot of properties that are actually encouraging not a guarantor, but a guarantor company.
Okay.
And so if you let this guarantor company sponsor you, they charge, of course, a small fee. They will be your guarantor, so to speak.
Okay.
And in that case, a lot more owners of buildings are more welcoming to having foreigners live in their properties if they use these guarantor companies.
Let's say I'm looking for an apartment. You know, I have a day that I know I need to be out of my current place. When should I start looking?
We generally recommend about 1 month before you would like to move in. This gives proper time to do a good search and to get in paperwork. If worst case scenario, 2 weeks or so, it's usually not an issue, but 1 month is over.
That's still pretty quick though.
It is, because there's a lot of screening processes that have to be done, and a lot of paperwork.
When I first moved into my apartment I was surprised about just how many things I had to pay up front.
Right.
Like it's completely different from at least America.
Right.
I know. So what are some of those things?
So you got the security deposit, the reikin, which is the gift to the landlord. You have possible cleaning fees or lock exchange fees, and then lastly is our company for the service as an intermediary. We charge 1 month's rent as well.
Yeah.
And that is to cover all of the services that we do, and as an intermediary between the owner and the tenant.
You gotta make money.
Right.
All of that stuff can, easily lead up to, Jumon, to, $1,000. You get 1 month for your security, 1 month for your key money, and then a month for you guys. it can get up there.
Sure, it depends on what the price of your rent is. So yeah, if you're looking for a place that's only about 30,000, then yeah, you might look at the 100,000 or more range. But if you're looking for a place that's 80,000, then really, you know, the month-to-month fee might be okay, but you have to think, oh, will I be okay with this upfront fees?
Yeah. So that's some stuff you really have to look into and make sure you have that in your savings. Speaking of savings, let's save some money for you guys, because that's what I probably most of you guys are here for.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the times, some places might have, for your key money, maybe they have 2 months. They want 2 months in advance. Sometimes, if the property is not in a lot of demand, you can negotiate that to maybe 1 month. And this can be done, I think, on the deposit as well. It depends, but if it's not in demand, you can wiggle around a little bit. So just be aware of that. So when you want to negotiate, is there a certain way to do it?
Yes, and there are some owners that are very willing to hear those types of negotiations, and some aren't. Depending on the season, they might be closed to those types of things, and some, you know, on other seasons where it's not as busy, they might be willing. But when you do it, you just go ahead and tell your agent this is how you would like to make, how you would like to apply for this property. And if you throw a negotiation, like for example, 1 less month on the key money, and then I will live there, and you submit that application, the owner can then decide to accept that or not.
Okay.
And at that point, it is kind of like a spoken non-verbal agreement almost that you will live there if they accept your demands.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, you know, don't be a dick and not move there, right?
Right.
Yeah. Another one, which a lot of people I don't think know, is that you can get better prices on the first floor. Sometimes, not all properties, right?
That's right.
But usually the first floor is not seen as desirable because there's maybe, it depends, but you know, not as much privacy.
Sure.
I guess.
And Japan's a very safe country, but some people see it as a security issue if it's out on the street side or something like that.
So be aware of that. If that doesn't bother you, hey, you know, tell them, you know, like, I want a place on the first floor, and the rent will be not much cheaper, I'm assuming,
maybe
a couple thousand
yen or so different.
Yeah, but
there's
something. That couple thousand of yen plus these other tips I'm going to give you could save you a couple more thousand yen. Okay. Shut up. The next one is, so south-facing windows are seen as most desirable. If you don't care about that, you can get other facing windows, and that will also knock off a few thousand yen a month. Next one is ask for your renovation schedule. So every few years, apartments and mansions, they get renovated. If that is coming up within a month, is usually when the agency knows, you can get a slight discount.
Depending on
this is all depending. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's another way to save a few thousand.
It's good to calculate these types of things though, because of course we want to get the best deal for you. You want to get the best deal, and if you know ahead of time what conditions could possibly give you a greater chance of getting that good deal, you might change the time you want to do your search, or you might change what kind of property you're looking for.
Yep. Speaking of what type of property you are looking for, you can also look for Chikobuken.
Yes.
Chikobuken. How would you translate Chikobuken?
Basically, some property that had some kind of negative thing happen there. It could be related to a natural, you know, some kind of fire or a crime or something like that. But it's not. Yeah. There's a reason that it's considered this Chikobuken. Some people would not want to live there.
Yeah. And you can tell your agent, hey, I'm okay with those kinds of places. Actually, please search for those kinds of places, because sometimes those are cheap.
Right.
And you were talking about times of when to search for your apartment. There is a season. There's a busy season. And when is that?
That's right. The busy season would be January, February, March, a little bit of April would be the most busiest season. So during those times, you're going to see a lot less opportunity for negotiations and maybe even higher prices.
Yeah, so don't look for an apartment.
Yeah. If you can.
If you can, yeah.
If you can.
Yeah.
If you can.
Ways to save money on how your apartment is laid out is you having the bath and the shower all in one room.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to explain, but usually in Japan,
Yeah.
the toilet is separated from the shower. It doesn't happen really in America. They have kind of in the same room. Some places, I think.
Right.
One of the only ones.
Right.
But in Japan, that is seen as pretty undesirable.
Right.
I'm saying. So you can save some money if you get those kinds of rooms. So this one is a tip that you guys told me, and yeah, it's very true. And that is
But if you're looking for a property and it's new, it will be higher. If you're looking for a property that's old, it will be cheaper. That's common sense. But a lot of people, they expect a certain size must equal this price. But that's not always the case. You might find a smaller place that's brand new that's a lot more expensive than a bigger place that's just a little older.
My beard is longer. Anyways, you're gonna hear more from Andrew at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned. Now, we are going to talk about what kind of apartment you want. So one of the main points is you want to know what kind of layout that you want your apartment in. Japan goes by this strange system kind of, so you have, for example, 1K, which is basically one room plus a kitchen. So you only have one room, your bedroom and everything, and then your kitchen. Obviously you have a toilet and stuff. But for example, I live in a 2DK, so that is 2 rooms, this room and my bedroom, plus my dining kitchen. I also used to live in a 2LDK, which is 2 rooms, and then it had another separate room, which was a living dining kitchen. And that can go all the way up to 3DK, 3LDK. I think you can probably go to 4. And then there's the building age. You heard Andrew and I talk about this. Usually newer is more expensive and older is less expensive. Newer also tends to have more features. It also tends to be safer, more earthquake proof. Sometimes they use better materials that are more soundproof. For the record, all of my apartments are old and they're fine. Do you need an elevator? Some places don't have elevators, which is kind of not seen, at least in America. This one is a big point for me, and is your apartment close to your work? I always try to get some place that is close to my work because it just takes down on your stress and your commuting, and it can save you money in the long run, but sometimes it might be more expensive up front if your company is in like the middle of the city. Are pets allowed? If you are a pet person, you already have a pet, or you want to get a pet, you have to look for apartments that allow pets. Hopefully you guys knew that. I don't know. Just a secret. My apartment doesn't allow pets, but I have Gumi.
Here he is. Gumi-san.
He was sleeping. Do you have anything to say? You want to give me a kiss? No? This is another one that I wasn't really aware of when I was younger, is the area around you. Do you have supermarkets? Do you have drugstores? Do you have a convenience store next to you? All these things are gonna be really, really convenient if they are close to you. If you live out in the middle of the country, yeah, the rent might be cheap, but if you're having to drive 30 minutes to the nearest supermarket, is it worth it? And that includes train stations. If you live next to a train station, the rent's gonna probably bump up a little bit, but it's gonna be super, super convenient if you wanna go into the big city, if there is one. Another one is kind of bouncing off of the area is parks. If there's a park next to you, it's gonna be really, really loud in the mornings. You know, when kids are playing, it's gonna be loud at nighttime when drunk people come. I live next to a park and it sucks. Do you need parking? If your apartment comes with parking spots. A lot of the times you can buy one and that will bump your rent up sometimes about 10,000 yen. So it can be cheaper, it can be more expensive depending on what city you live in and how near you are to the big city, but parking can get expensive, so be careful. Do you want a separate bath or no? Like Andrew and I talked about, if you want to save a little bit of money, you can have those into all one room, I guess, and you can save a couple thousand yen per month on your rent sometimes. Do you want tatami? Now, I know this is a big one for a lot of people because tatami can look cool and it feels super like traditional Japan. You know, you just envision yourself, you know, making some matcha and I don't know, committing seppuku or something. Don't commit seppuku. Don't do that. That was a horrible joke. That was lame. Don't do that. Tatami is really hard to take care of. If you spill stuff on it, it seeps down into the bamboo, and it can be almost impossible to get rid of those stains. A lot of the times they have to be replaced. They can get mites inside of them. There's a bunch of stuff you have to do with a tatami. The sliding doors, shoji sliding doors. Yeah, they look cool, but they're made of paper and they insulate horribly. They're super easy to break and you have to pay for them to get replaced. They look Japanese though, so that's kind of cool. Something that I really appreciate in my apartment now was a door camera. I didn't have one before, and you know, people would knock on my door and I'd be like, who is it? I don't know. It could be NHK hounding me for money, or it could be Mormons. Now, I don't have to deal with any of that because I have a door camera. And when people push the button, I have a camera in my room. I'll show it to you guys right now. This is the door camera, so you can see, pretty cool. Does your apartment have earthquake-proof technology? Whew, that's a big one. If you live in places that do have a lot of earthquakes, which is most of Japan, Okayama has them too, then you probably want some kind of an apartment that deals with that. Yeah, so going off of these earthquakes, is your apartment in a disaster zone? So flooding, landslides, stuff like that. If you're looking for an apartment and you want to save some money, you can get those places. But you know, be prepared. Seriously, like, you know, actually have maybe like you know, a pack full of food ready to evacuate if you need to. Don't take that stuff lightly because, you know, about 30-40 minutes away from Okayama, there was a town and it got completely flooded. The whole town was wiped off the map. It was pretty scary and it made me rethink about my evacuation plans. So be prepared if you do live in those kinds of zones. Something more lighthearted, think about the school districts. If you have children or if you're planning on having children, you need to be thinking about the school districts and how good schools are compared to other schools and how easy it is to get to those schools for your children. It's something that I haven't yet started thinking about, but I will probably be in the future, probably sooner more than later. You also want to ask your landlord how they deal with maintenance. Do they do it themselves? Do they have a private person that they call that does it? Or do they just push everything off to like a managing company? Now we're going to be talking about after you have moved in, okay? So you got your apartment, you got the perfect place, all thanks to this video. Share, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. These tips are going to save you some time and heartache and frustration at the end when you're ready to maybe move out or go to a different place. This is the same as probably anywhere else, but document problems as soon as you move in. Like, take pictures, take video. A lot of the times, I think most of the places will give you a checklist. Let them know and they will take care of them. They won't charge you, they'll take care of them, and then there you go. You're in the clear. This is something that I didn't know when I first moved into Japan. A lot of places either take city gas or propane gas. You need to know which one you use. So if you're going to get a burner or a conro or the stove element, you need to have the right type of burner to match the type of gas that you have. And for burners, if you have 2-burner or a 3-burner system, make sure you put the strongest burner away from your wall. You don't want to be burning your wall. That's also something I didn't know and probably wouldn't have thought about. And if you don't cook a lot, you can totally just get by not even hooking up your gas to a burner, but getting like a nabe burner that uses the propane cans. That could probably definitely be cheaper. I think this kind of goes without saying, but also avoid making too much noise, especially if you're on the 2nd floor. You don't want to be stepping and stomping on the floor, because a lot of the times these older apartments, you can hear everything. I can hear people sneezing next to me. Not next to me, that would be creepy. Apartments next to me. I can hear arguments. I can hear snoring. Just be mindful of noises that you're making. And house parties usually are not done. I've been able to have a couple friends over to my apartment, but a lot of the times you have to kind of keep it very, very chill, very relaxed. So no crazy like electronic music and stuff. I don't know. Just no crazy music in general. You can have electronic music. Don't put holes in your wall or put up posters like I have all over my apartment. I wanted some life in this place. You will be held responsible for moving all furniture out when you move. That kind of sounds like common sense, and it is. But it is, for example, if you're going back to America or whatever home country, you have to get rid of your furniture, and it can cost a decent amount of money to start throwing away things. So be prepared to do that. That's why a lot of the times people use Craigslist and Facebook groups to kind of sell their items to other expats, and that's usually the easiest way to go. Lock your doors. Even in Japan, Japan is seen as a safe place, but you should definitely lock your doors and lock your bike. My bike was not stolen, but the lock was, the light was, my mini pump was, everything but the bike. A lot of the times rooms are designated by tatami size. Be careful of that, because tatami sizes are different around Japan, and also tatami sizes are different between apartments and houses. Apartments don't come with curtains, which I found weird. I don't know why, but I guess it makes sense. It's just something that I never thought of. Like, yeah, every place has a curtain, and I went into my new apartment and there's no curtains. So you need to buy curtains. Apartments also don't come with like your laundry pole. You need to buy one of those, which I didn't know. Apartments don't come with lights either, which I didn't know either. There's this like fixture on the ceiling, but you have to buy your own light and kind of put it in there. In fact, seeing an apartment furnished is very, very rare here. You're not gonna have a furnished apartment. So like I said, look on Craigslist, look on Facebook groups in your city dealing with expats. A lot of people, they're giving this stuff away for free or for super cheap. Also, sometimes they do furnish shower curtains. Why shower curtains? I don't know, but they'll put them in the apartment, and if you use them, you have to pay for them. If you don't use them, you don't have to pay for them. So I suggest to go to a 100 yen store and get your own shower curtains for 100 yen. It's such a weird thing to supply. I don't know. It's really weird. If you have a less desirable window placement, like I said, south-facing windows are the best, then you can compensate kind of by using UV cutting like curtains and blocks and shades, which we use in both of our windows. As you may know, Japanese apartments are on the tiny side, so you want to be utilizing your vertical space. You're putting things above things, and then putting things above those, and then above those. You will constantly be fighting mold in Japan, so you want to keep the airflow in your apartment at all times, especially in your showers. They usually have like a ventilation fan. You want to kind of keep that on a lot in your bathroom as well. Just keeping the airflow will help a lot. Also, please, if you sleep in a futon or on a futon, sorry, hang that out like every day in the summer, or you know, every couple of days at least, because that thing can get moldy. I've seen some pretty dank looking, not dank, dank's a good word now. I've seen some pretty bad things under futons. Luckily not mine. But also your AC on your wall will usually have a dry function. Use that. Going off of the AC, you want to clean your AC every couple of weeks. There is sort of dust filters there. You want to be cleaning those out every few weeks because they can get pretty grimy pretty quickly. So do that. It's cleaning stuff, but it's stuff that I didn't know. Like, I just thought, yeah, you just have an air conditioner and it cleans itself, right? No, that doesn't happen, sorry. Adulting. Speaking of more adulting, you have to throw out your trash. Haha. And throwing out trash in Japan is freaking annoying. So the first thing you want to do when you move into your apartment, because you're probably going to be taking things out of boxes and throwing things away, you want to find out your trash days and how to separate them. If you do any damage to your floor, you will be liable, so make sure that you protect your floor by putting like pads under chair legs and table legs, and that will go a long way in saving you some money and not having to replace the floor. Also, get a sink strainer. Most places have them, or at least the places that I've lived in, but if you want to get all that disposable garbage out of your sink and not have it gunked up and then having to pay a pipe cleaner, just get a sink strainer, take all that junk out, throw it in the garbage. Bob's your uncle, I think, is a saying that I've never used before, and I just tried to use it now. Bob's your uncle. I think that's like Australian or something. I don't know. Buy slippers. Buy slippers like these. They're at 100 yen store, super cheap, and they protect your floor. They don't really protect your floor, they just keep your feet cold, not cold, warm. Yeah, so houses in the winter, not apartments in the winter, usually you're only heating one room, so you go into the kitchen, the floor is freezing. So you get a slippers, some slippers, and there you go. You got warm feet. You're welcome. Going from slippers to garbage again. Buy separate trash cans for your garbage. I know this is like the lamest thing to be talking about right now, but it helps so much. If you're using one and trying to separate, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Don't do it. Just get separate trash cans, and it makes things so much easier. Seriously, invest in a good high quality trash can where you step on it and it opens up. That's how you know you're living. Kotatsu, if you guys don't know, it's the best invention of mankind. In the winter, it's a necessity. It's not a necessity, it's really nice. It is basically a table that has a heater under it, and you put a blanket over it, and you keep all that hot air under the table, and you put your feet in. Or if you're like me, you put everything in except for your neck and head, and you sleep in it. But it's amazing. You don't have to use your air conditioner unit to heat the whole room. You can just heat the little spot that you're in and never go out and never leave. In the summer, I do suggest getting a fan. So fans are super nice. You can kind of use your fan when it's not super hot, but you need some airflow. Man, I feel like such a weird guy. Like I'm talking about yeah, get super cool trash cans and a fan. It's so weird. I've become this strange person. But seriously, it helps. I'm just trying to help you guys. This is a great one. I'm checking my notes here. Cockroaches. Cockroaches are the worst. I hate them. But unlike America, at least, basically, if you have a clean house or clean apartment, you're probably not gonna get cockroaches. In Japan, it's not the case. They're just all over the place. And I mean, no, they're not all over the place, but you will see, even if you are super clean, which we are, I think we are, you were gonna see a cockroach or two. But I find that the best way is getting the traps. So it's like poison, and they eat the poison, and then they go to their nest, and they die. And cockroaches are weird, so they're dead, and so they're just eating more poison, and it can clearly out the net. But That was over 60 freaking tips. That was amazing. All right, we're gonna go back to the past, to me and Andrew.
If you want to see some of these tips that we have talked about in this video, I want you to click on the video on the side where Ryowa House is going to be giving me a tour of some of their properties.
That's right. So let's go check them out, shall we?
All right, let's go.
All right.